Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Brian Pulido, and welcome to Beer with Brian, a monthly program of the Sworn Club. Sworn Club is something that you could join. It's the Coffin Comics Sworn Club. It comes with a cool membership kit and a couple other real benefits. The first benefit is news about Coffin Comics 24 hours before everybody else, and a 1-hour advantage on the great majority of our Coffin Comics shop promotions. But this is an informal conversation. I tend to ruminate on what's going on in pop culture, what I'm interested in, what I'm reading or watching. And you guys and gals out there are encouraged to ask me some questions. So we're doing this one at the end of June. And let's see, a couple fun things coming up. We're actually photographing and doing video for our upcoming J. Scott Campbell Lady Death statue tomorrow. Scott was involved in the whole thing. It's pretty cool. I'm stoked about that. But a couple things that are going on in pop culture that I've been interested in. First thing, Stephen King has a new series of short stories called You Like It Dark. I think that's what it's called. And I love his short story collections, and I tend to read them from like the shortest story to the longest. And there have been some really memorable ones in there. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there was this one story called The Dreamers, and it really, really got me. And I love when Stephen King does these stories about when the veil between reality and other places kind of rip open and what comes through. He's really known for that. There's stories like The Mist. This one was very kind of like a small, close quarters. And it's about like what I would call a mad scientist, but it's told from the point of view of a stenographer, a guy, a Vietnam veteran who is a stenographer. And he's hired to record what happens when this mad scientist guy puts individual people into a certain type of dream state and what happens. And it kind of got me. I'm reading it before I'm going to bed. So I'd also say, like, I'm catching up with Jimmy Coffin, and I'm starting to watch that TV show Evil. It was a CBS show. So I've only seen 3 episodes of it, but I find that interesting. Then I'll also say that later today, I'm actually going to go see Right Here, Right Now, which is the concert film starring the band Ghost. Now, long before Ghost was an arena act, myself and a couple pals were really lucky, and we saw Ghost in 2011, 13 years ago, in a venue called the Roxy in Los Angeles on the Sunset Strip with about 200 people. It was their first tour across America. They were opening for Mastodon, and they did this one-off show in Los Angeles. We heard about it, and we jetted out. And this is right as their first record came out. So all these years later, now our little band has become this giant arena act, and we're going to go watch their concert film. So if you had any questions, you wanted to talk about some pop culture stuff, I'm into it. Let's go.
All right, this is from Dan. He says, when you released Hellgasm in 2021, you said it was going to be your most extreme story, and it was.
Right on.
Are you planning on pushing the envelope even further with Hellgasm?
Well, thank you so much for that comment on Wargasm. Hellgasm is a beast of a whole different sort because it's the culmination of the Hellgasm storyline. So there is a lot of pushing, but strangely, there's a lot of cooperation. I think you're going to have to read this one to really kind of get it. But I believe when you start seeing the covers, you're going to start understanding the path that we're taking here. Sometimes the enemy of your enemy is your ally. So we'll see how this one goes.
Gabriel says, I saw the Lady Gunfighter comic. Will she have a crossover with Lady Death?
So Lady Gunfighter has a current Kickstarter going on right now. If you have not backed it, we encourage it. It is a supernatural Western. But I'm here to let you know that Lady Gunfighter has already appeared in Lady Death. She was in Sacrificial Annihilation. She also had her own 6-page standalone story in Tales of the Coffinverse #1. Both of those are available at coffincomicsshop.com if you want to get caught up and see exactly what sort of role she played in Lady Death Sacrificial Annihilation.
Outcast POV wants to know, just curious, is there a reason why Lady Death's human counterpart, Hope, doesn't seem to have a last name?
Well, so you're saying that the latest human counterpart, Hope, doesn't appear to have a last name. I believe that her last name was let out during our storyline the year before last. It was the storyline where she was up against Lady Victory, Lady Virtue, and her father, Matthias, came back. We baked that very subtly in there, and her last name was revealed in that story.
Matt says, rumor has it you're an MTV Challenge fan. Who is your favorite competitor in the show?
Well, it's true. I do love MTV Challenge, and I'm really new to it. We discovered it last summer, and I just finished watching All Stars 4, and I must admit, we're voting for Carmen Maria, but she came in second place. But that was a really fun season. I think there's probably like another challenge starting up on like CBS any week now, I hope. But yeah, I like Carmen Maria is one of my favorites. I do like Bananas, and there's just a lot of great, goofy, crazy characters on that show.
Solomon wants to know whatever happened to Cremator and Lady Death, Les Blacksmith, who made Lady Death's sword.
So Cremator was a character I created in the 90s as a mentor character for Lady Death. And she was in all the storylines of Chaos Comics. However, Chaos Comics, the actual publishing entity, came to a close in August of 2002. And with that, Cremator went along with the bankruptcy. So I'm sorry to say my son, Cremator, is with another publisher, and I don't have anything to do with him any longer.
Gabriel wants to know if you could write a comic that's based on a horror movie, what would it be and why?
If I could write a comic book based on a horror movie, it would be Night of the Living Dead. The story that I would like to tell would be, if you watch that movie, it ended at dawn. Ben has been shot and he's burned on a pile of bodies. I want to talk about what happens right after that in the next 24 hours. And I actually have that story. I would love to tell that story.
Jason wants to know, will we see a monthly Lady Death comic or Lortha monthly?
So Jason, you're asking if we'd actually do a monthly series, and no, we would no longer do monthlies. We are in the comics market. However, we chose to use crowdfunding and Kickstarter as a way to get our books out to people on a regular basis, but more like quarterly. We do 2 Lady Deaths and we do some of our other characters. And at this point, I guess we're offering comics bi-monthly, but I don't foresee ever going back to the monthly format. I will stick with this enhanced storyline on a less regular basis, but a consistent basis.
Miguel wants to know, when is the next artist event?
So Miguel wants to know the next artist event, and you're going to have to stay tuned. We will announce the next event after we return from San Diego Comic-Con. So that'll be late July. We will announce it, and the next event will occur in September. And this is an event that people are going to want to come from literally around the world to attend.
Cal Racer is saying, I checked out American Nightmare on your recommendation, and it was a roller coaster. Anything else you're enjoying right now in your downtime? So
let's see here. What did we finish up? Try to remember. I'm kind of drawing a blank. I love Chicago PD. It's great. And I think we just saw the cliffhanger and I don't want to mess it for anybody, but man, we love that show. I love every character, watched every season, and this season was as awesome as all the others. But there's a little sadness to the conclusion of the cliffhanger. Just recently, Francisca and I began watching Tracker on CBS. Real simple premise. I think the premiere episode debuted right after the Super Bowl, but we didn't get around to seeing it until recently. And it's about this dude named Colton, and he has a background in survivalism and tracking people down. And it's fun because every episode is sort of like one and done, where he tracks somebody down, finds them, does it his way, without law enforcement's cooperation or better than law enforcement. And it's kind of got like a Jack Reacher vibe. We've enjoyed the 2 episodes we've seen, and we look forward to more.
Travis is asking, maybe a card binder in the near future?
Travis, thank you so much for the reminder. I am in the preliminary development of an actual card binder. So I got like a good basis for a binder, and now we just have to sort the art. It's coming. Thank you for your patience.
Outcast is asking, was the astral projection spell how Lady Death found Gunner in Demonic Omens?
Okay, can you repeat that one again?
So did Lady Death use an astral projection spell to find Gunner in Demonic Omens?
Yes. It's like the simplest answer. Yes.
Matt wants to know, what is a week in the life of Brian Pulido like?
A week in the life of Brian Pulido kind of goes like this. I get up at 6 a.m. sharp most days of the week. I do everything that is very routine. I wake up, have coffee at 6:30, use the facilities, walk my dog, shower, work out, and then get to work at 8 o'clock. I work from 8 to 9 on catching up on anything editorial that might need approval. Then usually from 9 to about 11:30, I'm either writing or I'm starting what's called an overview on a given project. Then maybe from 11:30 to 12, answer a couple more emails, get caught up. Then from 12 to 1, it's lunch and getting caught up on that kind of stuff. And then from 1 onward, usually from about 1 to 3, I'm doing more stuff that's of an administrative nature. That might be answering emails, making calls. Then around 3:30, I might be heading into the Coffin compound, where I might either have a meeting, catch-up meeting. I might sign some books, that kind of stuff. At around 6 o'clock, it's the end of the Coffin Comics day. I may, usually on Mondays and or Tuesdays, work from 7 on Tucson Comic-Con stuff. Coffin Comics has moved on to a 4-day work week, 10 hours. I usually use the Friday morning to catch up on Tucson Comic-Con related stuff. That is the con that we own, and that happens this year during Labor Day weekend. And then usually nights, I guess, on fair amount of nights, it's a dinner at 6 and then hang out with Francisca and my dogs, watch some TV, and then start laying down and reading at around 9 and crashing by 10. Sounds like a boring life, but I like it. Weekends might stay up later, go to concerts, travel for concerts sometimes, that kind of stuff, do a little travel. That might be an average week, yeah.
Well, Miguel has a challenge. She's saying, coin up.
So Miguel is asking to coin up. Of course, I'm ready. Even Jimmy Coffin's got his. That's what's up. You rarely catch me without a coin.
So he's saying, Yo Nation.
Yo Nation. Yeah, I mean, other stuff like on weekends, if I'm up late, I might want to watch like an obscure film, rewatch something I hadn't seen in a while. If I go to YouTube, I personally do not listen to any podcast or anything like that, but I do track down concerts. So if someone's live streaming a concert around the country, like last weekend, I was catching different acts during Bonnaroo, and Lollapalooza's coming up in August, and I'll be watching Lollapalooza the whole weekend. A couple other, like if they're concerts and people are streaming, I'm trying to watch them, whether it's pro stream or whatever, and then I'll just track down. Love watching videos or concerts of acts I like. And I know it's going to be an interesting show up in the UK. The Sex Pistols are reuniting with a singer named Frank something or other, not with Johnny, and they're doing a benefit concert. I definitely want to see it. I want to know for myself if it's any good or not. So that's what I might do late, or checking out new bands and new musical excitement, that kind of thing.
Gabriel wants to know, have you ever worked at Marvel or DC?
So have I ever worked at Marvel in DC? The one time I worked for Marvel Comics was in 1997. They approached me and gave me the keys to the kingdom and said, you could do whatever you want. So I pitched them a concept called the Supernaturals, and it became a 4-issue limited series whose story that I wrote, that was written by Mark Andreyko, illustrated by Ivan Reis, inked by Joe Pimentel, and had covers by Greg Capullo and Jim Ballant. And it was my love letter to all the Marvel monsters of the 70s. I created a new grouping of characters, including Brother Voodoo, Black Cat, Ghost Rider, and they went up against a villain who, if you ever read it, I won't mention it. But it ultimately ended up by the 4th issue involving all the giant monsters of the late 50s and 60s from Marvel. So it was great. The one time I did work for those guys, I got to do exactly what I wanted to do. They backed up a truck of money and we made it. We actually handed the final files to Marvel. And they had complete approval of what we were doing, but you know, I love the work. I love Marvel Comics and their characters, so it was a love letter. So it was great. As far as DC, nope, but I would love to write Commandy for DC. But I guess my Commandy would just be a love letter to Jack Kirby. So I just kind of, you know, I don't know if I'd cover any new ground. I would just like imagine in my mind what would Jack Kirby want to have done, and I would just have fun doing that.
Kelly wants to know, can we assume that there'll be a Swornfest 2026?
Can we assume that there's a Swornfest 2026? I just got to hear a lot of interest from people, and then we would make our plans. If we are to announce if there is or there isn't, that announcement would come in February of 2025. So stay tuned.
Substitute Archangel says, what goes into the process of making naughty covers?
What goes into the process of naughty covers? Depending on the artist that you work with, we usually do quote unquote nice or prestige format covers and naughty covers because there's customers for both. People like them. It's a matter of collaborating with the given artist and coming up with a concept that everybody feels great about and is excited about, and then we just go at it. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of what goes into it.
Jade wants to know, any expected release date for Lady Death Rules Volume 5?
An expected offering date, pre-order date might be February of 2025.
Also, greetings from Scandinavia.
Hello, Scandinavia. How's it going out there? What time is it over there? Is it today or tomorrow? We're here in Arizona. We're in our production studio.
Leonidas says, what was your influence to create Lady Death?
Wow. So what was my influence to create Lady Death? So the creation of Lady Death dates back to, I think, 1987 or 1988. And I had already created a character named Evil Ernie. And I decided on this idea, behind every great man is a great woman. And I began thinking, wow, what is Evil Ernie's idea of the ideal woman? And although visually not comparable, I really love the real-life horror hostess Vampira. So if you're not familiar with her, what I loved about her was her dominant kind of demeanor and attitude. So I just loved that attitude. Now, of course, by that time, in '88, there was the Gothic look, which would be like the Lily Munsters and in the general Gothic look. But since I was thinking of a character that embodied death, I thought the removal of all color in the hair, the eyes would just help evoke that feeling even more. So that's where kind of taking a kind of a Gothic basis, then stripping it back even further to just like utterly white hair, no pupils, all that kind of stuff. So I think there's kind of a bit of a recipe there around that look, but that was kind of the beginnings of it. And certainly she went through a metamorphosis even before she got on the page. Her first appearance, obviously Evil Ernie #1, December 1991. Her first appearance on a cover, Evil Ernie Youth Gone Wild #2. And even then she kind of had like a bit of a flesh tone, and we eventually just knocked the flesh tone out completely.
Oh, Jade saying it's 2 a.m. on Friday in Scandinavia.
Right on. Okay. Wow. Okay. Late night. Right on.
Solomon needs to know, who would win in a lightsaber duel, Lady Death or Darth Vader?
Well, my answer to everything is Lady Death will always find a way. So that's always going to be my answer. It doesn't matter if it's Thanos or Spider-Man, whatever. It's like Lady Death will find a way. That's her nature. Her nature is she finds a way.
Darla wants to know, was the character Jade also lost when Chaos closed?
I'm sorry to say, yeah, the character Jade was lost. I mean, what we're able to retain was Lady Death and her main supporting characters that didn't have their own comic book. So as soon as they had their own comic book, like Jade, you'd mentioned, or Cremator, those were trademarks owned by Chaos Comics. And when Chaos Comics folded, all those assets went with Chaos Comics.
Oh, it's Joel Gomez.
Hey, Joel, how you doing, man?
You want to know, does Lady Gunfighter open the possibilities of seeing more Coffin characters in this Western world? Asking for a friend.
Hey, Joel. Well, I definitely think, people have responded the way we had hoped. It looks like we're really going to hit our goal with Lady Gunfighter. So certainly the idea of like exploring the Western territories of the Coffinverse even more could be in our future.
Okay, one last question here. Haley wants to know, who has the best fashion sense in HQ? Yes, this is a loaded question.
Well, who has the best fashion sense? Among the men, I'm gonna have to give it to Jimmy Coffin, man. Jimmy's been rocking the killer shirts this whole season. It's like really upped his game. So I'm giving it to Jimmy Coffin, man.
All right, that wraps it up.
Everybody, just want to thank you so much for tuning in for Beer with Brian, where very consistently I have not had a beer because it's during working hours. Let's call it like water with Brian, liquid with Brian. This is a program of the Coffin Comics Sworn Club. I want to thank you so much for being part of it. Remember, I just have to tell you, tomorrow we kick off our all-new Shikari promotion at coffincomicsshop.com tomorrow at 10 a.m. If you're a fan of the indomitable work of Shikari, we got some books for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Talk to you soon. Hey everybody, this is veteran comic book creator Brian Pulido. We're here to ask for your support in bringing our all-new supernatural Western to life. I'm talking about a 48-page original graphic novel entitled Lady Gunfighter, Desolation. Set in the eerie ruins of post-Civil War America, Eliza Ryan thought she'd never pick up a gun again. As a teenager, she was Lady Gunfighter, star attraction of Winchester Willie's Traveling Wild West show. But Eliza gave up her sharpshooting ways to become a loving wife and mother. Then came that fateful night of bloodshed and fire. 10 years later, Eliza dons the Lady Gunfighter moniker once again in journeys across the ultraviolet hellscape that is the Old West. She no longer performs trick shots for adoring crowds. Now she shoots to kill, a cold-hearted bounty hunter harboring a shadowy secret. A demonic revolver rides in her gun belt, a weapon of dark power that whispers to Lady Gunfighter in an ancient, malevolent language. But will cursed bullets and sharpshooting skills be enough to stop the man responsible for destroying Eliza's family, the infamous killer, Jebediah Kane? Helping me bring this dark tale to life is co-writer Mike McLean, illustrator Joel Gomez, colorist Hedwin Zalvadar, and veteran letterer Marshall Dillon. And look, this project is done. We just got a print, but I need your help to bring this story to life. Please pledge now and spread the word. Thank you so much, everybody.